Hello and welcome back to Sonny Talk Spurs, and today I'm going to be answering whether Gary Neville was spot on about Dejan Kuluševski. But before I get into this one, if you are new to Sonny Talk Spurs, why don't you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell because it will let you know when I go live over the Christmas period. Now, let's get into the video. So I seem to be bringing up Gary Neville every so often now on the channel because he seems to always commentate on Tottenham games and he has revealed his love for Tottenham at the moment. He loves watching them. He said that on Friday. He finds us the most entertaining team, even though he was trying to tout Ange Postecoglou to be the next Manchester City manager, even though a couple of weeks ago he was saying that, oh, inverted fullbacks, too predictable, He's changed his tune a lot. But I did like what he had to say about our Swedish star, Kulusevski, Deki, Kulu, whatever you call him. Let me know in the comments down below. I seem to call him Kulu a lot, but a lot of people seem to call him Deki. I still like Kulu. It was the first one I started nicknaming him. But enough about that. Let's see what Gary Neville said, because, you know, it was quite interesting reading, to say the least. He said, what we've seen in the last few weeks is him playing that role and becoming one of the rare players. Obviously, by playing that role, he means playing in a 10 sort of midfield position, as we've seen. And, you know, Tottenham fans are loving him in that position instead of his usual right wing position on the pitch. And he said, you're talking about him going from a player who might be 50 million on the right to being something that, if he gets going in that number 10 position, can be really special. Then you're pushing it to an 80 million or 100 million pound player. It's only potential at the moment and there's a long way to go, but that's what I see in him playing in that more central role. It's really exciting. James Maddison will have to fight for that back. Now, I don't get where that James Maddison comment comes from, because we all know how good Maddison was at the beginning of the season. And, you know, I don't think there's going to be some weird contest between him and Kulusevski. Obviously, people might disagree with me there, but I think Kulusevski's versatility is good. And I've liked how in games he has gone from the left sometimes late on the right late on. I think, you know, as the game maybe gets a bit more tiresome and stretched, and people say that maybe he hasn't got pace, he then can move to that right wing position and also start in that 10 and rotate with Maddison. Like, we don't have to keep, you know, worrying about a thin squad. We can, you know, make sure these players are well rested. And, you know, maybe the injury to Maddison was quite a good thing in the sense of his development, Kulusevski, because it meant he could try and Ange could test him in that midfield role, which I find quite, you know, interesting. I find it quite good, and I'm glad we have been able to see this sort of experimentation from Ange early on. But yeah, I mentioned it in my recent video about, is Kulusevski underrated? I think we're now getting to a stage where he's not underrated. He is being rated. People see him as, you know, I think people also don't realise how young he is. He is around that Foden-Saka bracket. He needs to find more goals and more goal contributions, but he has done that recently, you know. Again, against Forest, he got a goal and an assist in that game. And I think there's a stat as well on this article from Opta that says Dejan Kuluševski is the fourth Spurs player to score and assist in consecutive away games in the Premier League after Dimitar Berbatov, Son Heung-Min and Harry Kane. Man of the match. He got the man of the match, which was obviously very good as well. And yeah, I think, you know, what I found funny, there was a few Spurs fans who actually at the time they weren't sure whether we should have made Kulusevski permanent, which I questioned straight away. I saw the talent that was there. I knew there's a thing about Juventus and not, you know, using the players that they have at their disposal to their full capacity. Look at Bentancur as well. Kulusevski would be linked with Dusan Vlahovic. Video coming on him, so keep an eye out on that one as well. And it's just interesting how, I mean, they are crying out, Juventus, for a player like this now. Maybe in that 10 in a creative sense or on the wing as well. But I just feel like he needed this development and he needed this manager like an Ange to really show him the way. And I know we seem to value players in the monetary sense when talking about how good they are, but the sky is the limit for Kulusevski. I really think he is such an all-round player, and a lot of people who were writing him off about him being predictable and one-footed and slow and lacking in goal contributions are going to come back and be haunted by what they said about him. I really think, you know, a lot of Tottenham fans early on were comparing him to like how Saka's being compared, and there was a lot of like hate towards those sort of comments. But I can sort of see that even more now. Like, the more he gets involved in games, he's so pivotal and he's running. He does not stop. He has got an unbelievable engine on him. I've never seen it. Well, I haven't seen it for a long while for a Spurs player. Even Harry Kane. People said about Harry Kane, you know, being relentless and non-stop. But I still think Kulusevski has more of an engine on him. And I think in this system with this front line as well, he links up a bit better because even though, you know, we'll have Maddison as well. If we had Kane in there, a lot of them want the ball to feet and sort of want to create something. So, and that's not me saying like, oh, you know, like we would be bad without Kane. But I think Kulusevski is like this midfield role because it's meant he could dictate the play quite a lot. And I like that about him. I like how he sort of take the ball by the horns in the last few fixtures and has really come into his own. And it's just, you know, really good news as well, announcing the pregnancy in the way he did, even though Richarlison booted the ball away, which was a bit unfair. And also in the mask, he seems to have hit a bit of form. It's just, you know, the more goal contributions he can get, the more assists, as I say, goals, he will be a highly talented player for years to come. And teams will be, you know, shocked and actually wonder how they didn't go for him back in the day. You know, his days at Parma, you know, he started off in that midfield position, which was quite interesting. And obviously recently moved back there from playing predominantly on the wing. And even like earlier back at the beginning of the season when I was making predictions and assumptions and was doing my research on Ange Postecoglou's philosophy, I said, why don't we try him there? Like, even I said about Pedro Porro, maybe trying him there when we didn't know if he would be starting as our starting fullback. But it seems that there now is that versatility where we can keep trying him in different positions on the pitch. He can play the wing, he can play the 10 or 8 or whatever you want to call it, which is ideal, especially where, you know, we are getting quite a few injuries and suspensions in midfield. So everyone's got to really chip in all these areas. But I'm really happy with Kulusevski's development. I think he could be on track to be one of our players of the season. Obviously, he's got to compete with Maddison when he comes back, and obviously Son as well, who's been getting the goals. But yeah, very, very impressed. A pivotal cog in the Spurs machine under Ange Postecoglou. And I said this, Ange was going to improve all these players who were stunting and stagnating, whatever you want to call it, under Conte and Mourinho and whoever. And now these players are coming into their form and showing the potential that we all knew they had, which is very good to see. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you make of Kulusevski? Is he worth 80 to 100 million pounds? Is he worth 50 million pounds? How highly do you rate him, and how important is he in this Tottenham team under Ange Postecoglou? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As I say, keep an eye out for that Dusan Vlahovic video dropping tomorrow. I'm looking forward to doing this one. It might be a bit controversial, but we will see. But if you are new around here, as I said at the top of the video, leave a like on it. Subscribe to Sonny Talks Spurs, hit that notification bell because it'll let you know when I've gone live. And I'll see you again pretty soon, and a ciao.